This is Richard Whittaker. How do you describe yourself, Richard?
How do I describe myself?
Yes.
Short, fat and hairy. I'm a cynical optimist
Yeah, but what are you in terms
who specialises in the most peculiar cases of building collapse.
Okay, thank you.
6000114. This is the ghost. We never see him, never heard of him.
And you know, I would have thought with someone like this, come onto site and say, guys, us and the best is, you've got some complaints, let's see if they're valid. What is your concern?
It's a complete report where everybody was warned.
You know, Chrissie, we've been objecting for 5 years
Yeah.
now. We objected and then we appealed. Our main concern was with Van Willingham, that our property is going to get damaged. The minute they go down that deep, you're going to have movement of soil and you're going to have a compromise.
And there's an aquifer.
Absolutely.
So let's rewind to 6 years before the demolition and excavation started. And now we're going to have a look at Mr. Van Wieringen report to Renette Pistorius. Dear Renette, as requested, this attempts to summarise our discussions on site with regards to the proposed excavations adjacent to your property. I have the plans of the proposed development that you sent to me, but these do not show it in relation to the elevation of your house, so I have had to remain fairly general in my comments. In point form, I recollect the following as having been discussed. There exists significant water flow beneath your house through a permeable substrate that was addressed in the past and continues to discharge via subsurface drains towards the beach. Excavations for your foundations encountered loose, wet conditions and required relatively large and deep foundations utilizing brick foundation walls. Excavations previously undertaken on the earth to the north of you resulted in significant settlement of the northern portion of your house. Very loose and saturated silty soils have been encountered on properties to the east of Beta Road. The same conditions, but with hard granite bedrock beneath, have been encountered on the earth to the south of Earth 2694. Excavation is planned on Earth 2694 to a depth of the order of 1 metre below your lowest floor level, but substantially more below portions of your southern boundary along which a substantial boundary wall exists. It is not clear from the drawings as to how close this excavation is to the boundary, but it is likely to be on the boundary. Aspects of concern once again in point form include the following. Dewatering of the adjacent site could result in a lowering of the water table beneath your site and bring about settlement of your foundations. If rock has to be removed, vibration could cause consolidation of the loose material beneath your foundations and hence settlement thereof. Excavation in close proximity to the boundary wall is likely to undermine it and cause movement or collapse thereof. Excavation faces are likely to experience water egressing from them, accompanied by consequential fretting and collapse, particularly during the wet season. It is consequently recommended that the following precautions be undertaken. A photographic record be made of your property, including the boundary wall and paved areas to the south. Surveyor's targets be installed on the boundary wall and basement wall, and these be monitored throughout the excavation and construction process to warn of any movement taking place. Adequate slopes of excavation faces be maintained. Excavation of rock be avoided. Even the drilling of holes to accommodate expanding grout could suffice in terms of vibration to cause settlement. Blasting will be even more likely to do so. The owner of the property being excavated must take out lateral support insurance. I trust that the above adequately records that which was discussed. One important point that's raised here with these basements is that there is no information on any drawing about the abutting properties. Nothing. So how do we protect them? Deputy Mayor Nielsen, this is your expertise. You know exactly what he's talking about. And Evan Solomons, Principal Building Inspector, you know exactly what he's talking about. And you have a national diploma in civil engineering. And Mr. Solomons has another gift. He can see through reinforced concrete walls. And this incredible gift of Evan Solomons also was able for him to inform me that my neighbour had built a 5-metre excavated basement that had built into my property with approved plans. Quite how he can see in 2017 how a 2013 basement was built is just beyond me. And I'm making this point at this juncture just to expose the fact you can't make ridiculous statements, if you don't understand what you're doing. It's very wrong for all of us and very, very dangerous. Oh, and Mr. Solomons, there is no 1809 2010 plan. It's 2009. And Deputy Mayor Nelson, it is an offence to tell a court of law that everything is built to an approved plan when papers were served in 2013. And then in 2017 you say, hey, sorry, but it wasn't built to an approved plan and there's an additional 4.5 metre reinforced concrete wall. You won't even tell me where it is, despite my property collapsing. This is very wrong, sir.
When these people start digging you tell them there's water, they look at you with a big question mark. I would have thought at least a contractor that works in this environment would have just come to you and said, look, I know this is a sensitive area. This is what we're going to be doing. I need buy-in from you guys. If there's movement or a problem, that I'm immediately alerted. Then he'll have two neighbours cooperating. But him just saying, oh, all they're doing is complaining is just a smacking of arrogance, because he knows he's going to have problems here. It's already starting. Why hasn't he appeared here to come and talk to anyone? And apart from that, when I asked council for plans, they said to me, you can look on the screen, but it's the property of the owner. And then we tried a legal way to try and see if we could apply from a legal point of view to get those plans.
Did you go through PAIA?
Through?
The access to information?
They filed from the lawyer's office
All of that
to
is,
get all of those, and they
But
got
they
nothing.
did PAIA, so then you think they did PAIA?
And they got nothing.
I'm saying that there is something sneaky going on.
So did you say that you have been going in asking for the plans?
From our lawyer's
Yes,
office.
but I think the report...
The clerk has been going in on a daily basis. He's on a friendship. Names first already with the
must be
building
in there
department and the
somewhere.
plans department. And this has been going on since last year, October.
I just find it extraordinary. If you've got nothing to hide, you give drawings.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That's what we also say.
See those magnificent big tree. It'll die. That's the one that the roots are hanging out. It's called some kind of a bottle brush tree.
Because some of these have got protection.
No, this one does, because that's a milkwood tree.
Yeah, the milkwood
All these
definitely.
trees I've planted, those are milkwood trees.
Okay, so this company, they're the same guys that were excavating. Okay, and they're not wearing masks, by the way.
There's the collapse over there.
Is there a foreman? Hello? Is there a foreman? You guys should be wearing masks. Be careful, it's a very deadly... Be careful. Richard, I think that's the foreman.
Hi, my name's Richard. I'm helping out neighbours here. Are you involved in construction? Yeah.
And also the approved building plans, please. Sorry?
This way.
And if you walk off the street, you're going to fall right down that hole.
He's a owner or something. Yeah. Is there a safety specification?
come? Because the city was supposed to come. And the Department of Labour, they arrived yet?
Yeah.
When did they come?
I think they. I'm not sure.
No, they're supposed to be here today at 10 o'clock.
No.
Oh, okay.
This number here.
Which one?
This one. Where's the bloody plan?
Sorry?
Where's the safety plan? There's no plan, there's just a list of things.
Yeah. Have you got the actual plan? There's no actual plan.
It's only my drawings, made the walls.
Have you got, where are your drawings?
It's only
Can I have a look at them, please? Thank you.
Yeah, careful on that that one. Depth.
Yeah, 7 metres at least.
Height must be safe. See the working height. Inspection register body blank. Yep. Roof top mask must be worn at all times.
They're all sitting there without masks on.
There's nothing in there since the 6th. No toolbox. Especially the daily one, that's what it says there. That's daily safety talk.
Yeah. When was the last time the building inspector did an inspection?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, we are now here now.
We're just making sure that the paperwork's correct. And the city inspector hasn't been. Oops.
That's the consultants.
Oh, it's wind picking up.
Who's the temporary works?
Temporary works. What does that mean, Richard? Explain.
So temporary works is propping, like that bit of timber that's stuck up underneath that
Okay,
wall
yeah.
that's falling down. But in the risk assessment, it says there's a temporary support. Actually, says temporal. I'm not quite sure what that means. So therefore, there must be a temporary support person appointed with the correct engineering degrees, of course. Who's Mr. Daniels?
He is my foreman.
Oh, he's your foreman. Okay, so
And what, is he not here?
He's not here.
Why is he not here?
Because I'm the leading end here on site now. I have to.
Okay.
okay, that's your opinion.
And tell me, do you have a copy of the building plans?
Only my.
Can I see them?
I'm just looking at my copy that my boss
Okay.
gave me.
Okay. That's the only one. What about these ones?
All is the same, it's only the height of my walls and levels.
Who would be in charge of giving you, making sure you have building plans on site? So what if a building inspector arrives? What would you show him?
I'll just show him this.
And you've got nothing on the next page. But you've got nothing with approved,
According to my boss,
city
that
stamp.
everything is approved.
Yeah, but you need to have an approved plan with a stamp on it. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you guys, without knowing it, might be building to something that isn't approved. You see, I can't see any stamps on this. Yeah, there's no approval stamp. Okay, and the next one. Yeah, this isn't right. Okay, is that it?
Yeah, that is.
Okay. And what are these ones here?
That's basically the same.
Basically
Steel layouts for steel.
Okay. And here you've got the concrete, the bars.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll let Richard have a look at that. Thank you, sir.
Mark, do you know who's the CEO?
Hein Visagi.
Fisaki?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So that's Mr. Fisaki has appointed himself as temporary works designer. So we can check on the internet who's registered with EXA.
Okay, perfect.
That's the one that worries me, because what particularly worries is the collapsing things.
Yeah. Are you aware that their property's collapsing?
Yeah, I know way about it.
What's going to happen about that, sir? Because the insurance company won't pay. Can I ask you, do you have a copy of your lateral insurance report? You don't have that. Because they need to have it quickly to get hold of your insurers. Because their property's collapsing, sir. You can't just dig onto someone's property. Have you got a boundary wall approved plan? Have you got the boundary walls? You know, you're building to drawings, but there's no, where are the elevations?
I haven't got it.
But you can't just build without knowing where you're building, sir. Do you see what I'm saying? I just don't understand how you can be building to an approved plan if you've got no retaining wall surrounding drawings. And sir, their house is collapsing. Do you not have any compassion?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I think we have to do something about this. Is there any way you can get somebody to come and talk to the neighbours?
They already, my boss, I decided
Yeah, but he's not being truthful, sir. He's not being truthful. So if I can ask you to find it in your heart, to find someone who will talk to us honestly, you know, because the house is collapsing. And this is going on all over Cape Town. It happened to me. You can't build into someone else's property without lateral support. And you haven't got any, particularly down on the other side. It's evidence in the pictures.
Yeah.
So somebody is going to get in trouble. You just what we call kicking the can down the road. But if we do something now, we can probably fix it.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's a City of Cape Town thing.
Discharging water into the ocean.
Sorry?
Yeah, there's an open channel between two properties. Can they put water into it? I don't see one. Doesn't help much. Oh, there we go. You take photograph.
You've been fantastic, sir. I appreciate it. We're not being difficult. We just want to repair the house. Okay. Thank you, sir. Traffic plan.
Yeah, that's fine. And that's another one with the truck.
Traffic management plan. Okay.
Well, the truck looks fine.
Everything is
Like I said, I wanna take a few pics and then just send it to control and they can forward it to Solomon.
The people park on the red line, they park under the construction, park on the delivery on the red line and on the yellow line.
No real obstruction of the truck itself, which is on the yellow line. There is still space to move.
You're not allowed to park on the yellow line, are you?
There is a grey vehicle that could be parked a little better than, easier access, but it's still easier access. Like I said, I'll take a few pics and send it on if we go.
And look at this, a lady in the street and the worker who passed each other, both without masks. This is how coronavirus spreads from community to community. Selfish, selfish people when we have all sacrificed so much. And where is this man buying illegal cigarettes from? You know, what is the point of having a law if nobody adheres to it? It's very wrong. So he takes his mask off, puts a cigarette in his mouth without sanitizing. In fact, where are the sanitizing facilities on this site? These construction companies breach the law with impunity.
Yeah, you can't breathe. Terrible.
Okay, Okay, so this storm water gutter goes around the site and then it goes through both properties, which is Yanni and Renette's property. And you'll see that this is the council stormwater gutter. And this goes, so all the mess and debris comes down into that. It's washed down and then it goes out into the sea. And remember this, Councillor Gel, and all the asbestos that were being washed out into the sea with it. Not acceptable. And let's go back into the environmental health and safety file that Richard was having a look at on site. And inside that file was stormwater correspondence between Craig Kaplan, who I assume is working on behalf of the site. On the 29th of June, he writes, "Hi there, the open channel is actually between the properties, not on 2694 itself. I assume this is the channel to use." Marissa Adams, who's a Senior Professional Officer of Roads Infrastructure and Management of the City of Cape Town, writes to Craig on the 29th of June. Then Craig Kaplan writes to Hein Visagi at HVPM. He states, "Hi Hein, as below, Marissa Adams at Roads says, if it is more straightforward to discharge to the ocean, then that is preferable." They did discharge into the ocean, Miss Adams. Look at this filth. This dirty cement water, this filth that went into the ocean. Councillor Gel, you promised us an intervention from coastal management. You promised us an intervention from sewage. When you were campaigning in February 2019, you were telling us that you were going to get the law enforced. It's just words, empty lip service, while our properties are destroyed. 3 weeks before this email, on the 8th of June, I had complained and written to the city that this site was being demolished unlawfully without any AIA asbestos inspection, and that the rubble was being dumped unlawfully, hazardous waste unlawfully dumped, going into the sea, into our stormwater drains, into the roads and into the walkways. And I kept sending email after email to the mayor, the deputy mayor, the head of the DA, the head of city, Cheryl Waters, planning department, the building inspectors, everybody. Nobody would answer me. The 14th of July, Marissa Adams emailed me, "Dear Chrissie, you were informed, and did Roads issue any permits for this and the storage outside the sites? We are checking our records and will revert back regarding permits issued for work in the road reserve. There must have been permits needed before any council pipes, stormwater drain or municipal water pipes that would have to be removed on excavating basement. Regarding the statement above, no input or permits are required from this department to work on private property unless a municipal stormwater pipeline traversing the site is affected." I mean, it just beggars belief. But I'm not going to go into that now, or else the film will be hours long. The Department of Labour to ignore emails, and this was prior coronavirus. I mean, I've never got anything from the Department of Labour. They may as well not exist. And the only reply I had was from David Issu saying that his email address was davidissu@labour.gov.za, and that was on the 7th of July 2020. Since then, nothing. And this is Building Inspector Evan Solomons. He may as well not exist either. He never responds to emails or phone calls. What makes this more concerning is that he's the principal building inspector of the City of Cape Town. Allegedly, he has a national diploma in civil engineering at Cape Peninsula University of Technology, and he has been the principal building inspector since February 2020. I asked his superior, Cheryl Waters, for a copy of his CV and his qualifications. She refused to answer. So I've had to find this out on the internet. It is an absolute despicable abuse of power when all we're trying to do is protect our properties. And the fragile environment that the City of Cape Town are busy destroying by this overdevelopment without having any of the infrastructure upgraded or looked after. It really is shameful.
You can see the cement.
Look, it's brilliant.
Oh, hang on. That
The water runs in.
council service.
Yeah.
They've destroyed council property. Let's put that one on the list.
Yep, I've got it.
This is a servitude.
Yeah. Well, it's damaged.
Yeah. Look.
Look.
It's going. Look.
Yeah.
This is all going to collapse. All of this.
Oh, here's the ladder.
Please go up the ladder. Don't fall. I'll hold the ladder for you and you'll be okay.
So Richard is now standing on top of the ladder behind that piece of hardboard, looking down onto this part of the excavation. So here's a close-up of that piece of wall going into council servitude, and then you'll see that Richard is on top of the ladder. He'll be looking down onto that bit of wall. And here is the top of that wall that is going into the council servitude on the other side. You can see how far they're going down. There's absolutely no lateral support. They're smashing into the tree roots without taking any consideration or care, or given any time for Yanni and Renette to protect their tree by getting a horticulturist there to protect the roots. It's shocking, really. And then they poured the concrete, which is not on any plan that we saw on site. And as you'll recall, the foreman said that there were no plans for retaining walls abutting this property. So, and here you can see the trees already dead. So now let's go back into Yanni and Renette's property.
So this is their property.
From this wall. But clearly we measured from here, from that wall to their wall of their house was 7.24 meters. Where they want to build now, they came towards this way about 3.2 meters bigger. 3.2 meters.
And the trees in the garden are absolutely caked in cement dust, and obviously this goes into the stormwater and onto our beach, which is tragic.
They are now excavating, and they're already excavating all around this, right over council land, all the way here. So if you take the original dwelling footprint and what they have excavated, it's more than double that.
And the depth that they've gone down, Yanni?
Well, they said 7 meters, but I was looking at it, I think it's already, as it is now, about 8 meters.
And the guy said that he's going to go down even further.
Even further, yes.
What were the departures for?
The original pink.
The pink is their original dwelling. That
Yeah.
was their garage.
Yeah.
On top of that.
So what departures did they apply for?
Everything. They're going right to the perimeter.
So they
of
got
the
approval
property.
for that?
But that's what they say.
That's what
But
they say.
they can't get that without your say so.
We never signed, we never did
It came a letter
anything.
came
Neither
back,
did the neighbours on the other
but
side,
then-
nor nobody
But
here.
you remember when it came back to say that our appeal was not accepted, they
Yes.
said that council has given approval according to title so and so and so and so that people can now move under their departures.
They called it the maximum development.
Yeah, the MD something, you're quite
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
You see all these trees here, they were all gone. All these wonderful trees here.
It's all very well having a maximum development approval, right?
Yeah.
That's all very well.
Yeah.
But that doesn't give you the right to build onto someone else's property.
No.
And you have to be safe.
They said to us in the beginning, no, they're going to put pylons down. Yeah, they put pylons down into the ground. Then they're going to put concrete next to the pylons and let that stabilize. Then only will they do the excavation. We said, well, that's wonderful. Then we are protected.
That's the standard way of doing it.
They've done nothing of that. They just went to dig right to the wall.
There you go.
So you basically started and then you did
When
your
When
appeals.
Mr. Ferrini came to us and said that he just wants, the first thing he said, he just wants to alter the inside of the house. And we said, you don't need our permission or our consent, you do whatever you like. Then he came back and he said, yeah, but he wants to make it a little bit bigger or this and whatever. And I said to him, I have no problem, only on two things that you cannot do, which I stand on. Don't come closer to our house of where you are now, and don't damage my house in any way. Apart from that, you can build the Taj Mahal, I don't care. Well, none of that happened. And when we saw, in so much so that he said, I have the ways and the means to do whatever I want, then we knew things will go wrong. Then we got Mr. Van Wieringa to give us a report, geotechnical report, which warned everybody that this will happen when it dries up. We got an architect to take the measurements. We got a land surveyor to take the measurements, drawings. This cost us lots of money. We way over 250,000 rand by now. We submitted this all to council through our lawyer. We submitted this to everybody, warning them with all these paperwork, and the council just override, and when we see that, we just start excavating and building. And
Did you know they were coming to excavate?
I beg your pardon?
Did they inform you they were coming to excavate?
No, never. Before the lockdown, they started demolishing the house.
Yeah.
And then with the lockdown, they stopped.
And they never warned you?
No, never.
Did you ever see anybody in a spacesuit that looks like an asbestos suit?
No, never.
Because I interviewed them and I said, where is your asbestos report?
Oh, wow.
And they said, there's no asbestos. I said, how do you know? I said, where's your report? You know, where's the integrated waste management? So who and where delivered that asbestos rubber? That's illegal. So basically, but I just want to say, is there anything that went on that I didn't see? Like there were guys.
No, never.
Well, I think the guys that demolished it was private people. They just slowly demolished it and taking things away until they got to the walls and whatever. Then they left, then they finished. Then another company comes and they did all the excavation or whatever and damage and whatever, and then they left. Then another company come like now that do the walls. Like the man said, I'm just here to do the walls. I don't
know what it is. You had a contractor doing all the excavations, moving spoil, right? That's what they're doing now. They're loading the sand back into the truck. So it's still part of the excavation. The one contractor doing
the contractor with the truck is also different. It's all different contractors.
I get it. Okay.
Sandra, should you not be more concerned about the trees that are being destroyed?
So I went back this morning to show Renette and Yanni this film for their approval. And this is what was happening on site as I was there. So they're hiding that concrete wall that was poured behind that boarding. So there was no approved plan on site, so I don't know what they're going to do about that. So Deputy Mayor Nielsen, what do Renette and Jenny do? What do they do? They refuse drawings. They can't see drawings. There are no drawings on site that have been stamped and approved by the city. And there's no retaining wall approved drawing that's signed by Yanni that these men are hiding behind the boarding and the sheeting. I mean, it's just beggars belief that you could leave somebody like this. And so as Yanni was filming, Heini Visagi came into the property, and this is some of what happened.
Went through your files, we took film of everything that's going on your site, which is unlawful.
Yeah.
You're digging under here, right?
Yeah, no, we're not digging under here.
I've got video of it.
Yeah, no, we are from this point. We are almost 3 meters now.
No, you're underneath. I've got video. You can say what you want, okay? So we've got video of that. Also, we went through your file. Okay, yeah. It's not lawful. Okay, you've got guys out there with no masks on, infecting people in the street. You've got people all sitting around without people.
Okay, who are you? Because I've come to Jan now to look at the scenario. I don't need this. If you've got any issue, send an email to whoever you need to.
I've made a film. It's going to be
100%. But what you're stating now is not true, because I can take you on that site. You see this boarding here?
Yes.
our wall is another meter away from that boarding. It was undermined. Now it's not anymore.
Yeah, but it was undermined.
No, it was undermined, but it's not something, no one can do it differently than what we're doing it here currently. You can't.
Okay, well, I've got that recorded. Thank you.
So he admits, Mr. Solomons, that he's undermined the abutting property. He admits he's built into the property. But you know what? It's the only way he can do it, he says. You cannot excavate 7 meters. You cannot build into a council servitude or an abutting property without a retaining wall approved plan, which needs to be signed by the abutting property. So I thought I'd do a little bit of research on the Honourable Ian Nelson Alderman, who is our Deputy Mayor, and he's standing next to Dan Plater here, who is our Mayor of the City of Cape Town. And Ian Nelson is a civil engineer, and obviously our Deputy Mayor, and he apparently served as the Mayoral Committee Member for Finance from 2006 until 2016, an Executive Councillor for Safety and Health from 2000 until 2002. So you would think one of his primary concerns would be to keep the City of Cape Town safe and healthy. And then on the City of Cape Town website, I found Ian Nelson's CV, which states that Ian Nelson holds a master's degree in civil engineering from UCT. He spent 20 years as a consulting engineer, primarily in the fields of water supply, planning and design, and flood studies. His work on the design of the canal system at Century City received an award from the Association of Consulting Engineers. He has been a city councillor since 1996. He was a member of the Unicity Commission 1999 to 2000 that prepared the way for the establishment of the Metro. At the establishment of the city in 2000, he was appointed as the Executive Mayor for Safety and Health and oversaw the establishment of a municipal police service for the city. In the health portfolio, he oversaw the city's first air pollution bylaw and the rollout of the mother-to-child anti-retroviral programme. He was appointed as the Mayoral Committee Member for Finance in 2006. The city received unqualified audits for the 10 years during which he oversaw this portfolio. Strong financial management during this period allowed the city to deliver a high level of services despite the city's high population growth and to invest in 40 billion of infrastructure. During his tenure, he also oversaw the development of the city's immovable property asset register, as well as significant progress on the management of the city's lease portfolio and packaging of a number of strategic assets for market. Ian was a director of the Cape Town International Convention Centre from 2000 until 2002. Since 2006, he has held oversight responsibility for the CTICC. He was also the chairperson of the city's 2010 World Cup committee that oversaw the construction of the Cape Town Stadium. He was elected as executive mayor in 2009, again in 2011, and was re-elected for a third term in 2016. He currently oversees the city's project portfolio management system, probity functions, Convenco, and the audit committee. So I think you'll agree that he's very well versed on air pollution, and I have to question why he's allowing the poisoning of his city with asbestos through unlawful demolitions. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, Deputy Mayor Nielsen, to please do something about this. It's killing all of us. Deputy Mayor Nielsen, you wrote to me on the 23rd of July 2020. You said, Ms. Phillips, you raise a number of distinct issues which will need to be dealt with separately. The land use and building plan issues are under the oversight of my colleague Alderman Nearwood. I see that her office and that of Ms. Cheryl Waters have received emails from you. I will leave management of that issue in their hands. Please note that I am not a structural engineer or a geotechnical engineer. My expertise is in water engineering, and I'm not qualified to make any professional judgment on any building or excavation. I find this statement absolutely extraordinary. And then he writes, Dear Miss Phillips, you have chosen the legal route to engage the city. In doing so, it is necessary that you route all your correspondence on this matter via the city's appointed attorney, Miss Deirdre Oliver. Your attorney, Deputy Mayor Nielsen, doesn't return my emails. And Deputy Mayor Nielsen, your principal building inspector, a qualified structural engineer. Look how many times that myself and Renette have written about both our properties, both of which are in the stage of collapse. Nothing, sir. He does nothing. And I'm putting this on record, Deputy Mayor Nielsen. Renette, Yanni and myself do not want to go through the court process. We just want to sit down with you and your team just to explain what's wrong with these developments and why our properties are collapsing. Don't make us go through the courts. Please don't. You're not personally paying for it, but we are. And Cheryl Waters, sir, her department does nothing. They ignore emails, deflect, and are just not doing their jobs. Really, we need help. Our environment is collapsing, our health is hurting, and our properties are collapsing.
One day, my people, one day we will celebrate. This day is over. We'll be celebrating. Nobody is until everybody.